So yeah, I am really, really looking forward to this one, but I think it is going to be difficult for Forza once again. May well just come down to the maps at the end of the day. However, if they can move in a little looser, little faster, like we're saying, right, and play instinctively, trust their CIS firepower and instincts, you never know. This might be kind of a crazy performance from them.
Well, like you said in the pregame as well, it's good that they can start off at least on the CT side. Maybe there's something to be done over here, but Saw are looking to get in very quickly. Smoke struck down to see if they can at least threaten the vent dive, but not gone through yet. Kenzie, meanwhile, still blinking away through that very smoke while RT tries to fire back. Flit waiting in a retake position, and as the bomb goes down, it'll be a 5-on-5 with Flit on the high ground.
Just trying to take a peek here on this Glock. Decoy goes out. Trying to keep things back at this point. Nuke does manage to find the first. Jerry quickly trading it, but that's about it. Arky, meanwhile, has been biding his time for a long time over in secret, making things very awkward indeed. Jerry going to tap the bomb, try and force some peaks to come through, and the Glocks do come in, but unfortunately, they've awakened the beast. Jerry, the only one left. He does get another before he falls, but it's a clean pistol from Saw.
And Just is one of those players who isn't necessarily the player I'd highlight personally, but occasionally he has these maps which are just crazy performances. And I have to say, Nuke is one of those where both him and Muris can go off like no one else. Muris in particular, you've got to watch out for him on outside later on the CT side. He likes to go for these really crazy, weird pushes that remind me so much of how Furia plays. And honestly, Forze's definitely got their work cut out for them because of that pistol round loss that comes through. Now, though, they have gone for a force buy, so maybe they can bring something together. I'm personally really excited to see Zorta and how he is different from XC Power, because obviously XC Power is one of those players who was always praised very heavily for his CT side, so there's a lot to live up.
It's so curious, though, to be honest, because, like, still on HLTV, Exit Power is in the lineup, right?
Yeah.
And honestly wasn't expecting Kenzie here for me is the new name. So it's a very, very strange time for sure. And this really changes things even more on what we were saying, trying to incorporate a fifth player. You're actually trying to incorporate a fourth and a fifth player. So it is going to be interesting. Jerry manages to get one through the smoke here. There are a few tags landing. 45 seconds left. It seems kind of transparent from Saw. A couple players spotted in towards the back holes. Jerry's going to fall. So they are looking to recover things back, but I don't know. I still feel these Deagles are in with a good shot. There you go. Stododo kind of saving the day. 2 quick kills by himself, I believe. Yeah, just outside running riot right now and really throwing the CTs for a loop. Also, inadvertently clearing the A bomb site.
Now Master just lying in wait. Great shot, but it can't get the kill. Almost does it, and if that had fallen, well, it would have become a little bit more complicated to actually get the bomb down. Maybe could have delayed for a while longer. I'd personally love to see a save here, Scriv. I think we don't see teams saving up Deagles and scouts like that enough, and right now that's exactly what they're going for. You've got 2 Deagles, you've got a scout. If you can take those forward, at least 3 of your players have kill potential, and that's enough to put yourself in a place where the T's shouldn't get a free economy boosting round.
Yeah, definitely a fan of it to be on your side as well. And it just keeps the pressure on, I think. Make sure that there's no breathing room at all for the T side. Somewhat of a slow start, to be honest. Nothing too crazy. The pistol round was a little hectic towards the end, but that second one, very well controlled from Saw. Looking good. And if they can keep this CT economy down, right, I think if a rifle or 2 gets taken away from Saw, they too have to be careful of their economy. But, of course, as we always talk about, it's such a massive part. It's a bit of a broken record at this point, but it is so hard on that CT side to keep things going. Jerry going for it. Unfortunately, Roman watching out quite easily, so easy pickup in the beginning.
Muris is moving past, needs to make sure that Flit doesn't have an opportunity to strike through with the Deagle. And, Flit's a player we didn't really get much time to talk about, but this guy is insane. He is, of course, a player who was originally rumored to be joining Navi when Perfecto ended up being who they settled for. But over here, we do see Ilmazer going down, and Flit has picked up a Galil, so there's definitely chance to do enough damage for the T's to be hurting in the next round. Forza, the question is, do they go for it before the bomb is planted or after? Well, looks like no one's going for it from Forza because Saul's just killing him. That also works.
That's awkward for Kenzie. Flit does manage to find one, but not being encroached upon. Okay.
Yeah.
Roman going a little ahead of everyone else, but I guess the information is in that he was tagged up. Nonetheless, very conventional opening. Saw doing really, really well, not dropping the ball, not even coming close to doing so. Really well controlled so far. And this is setting them up well. But now, of course, we get to answer a few of those questions that we had. Zorti on the AWP, yet to frag, although he's not the only one on his team. See what he can get done. And then, of course, this newer addition of Kenzie. I mean, I personally have not got much experience with this guy. I caught those games at DreamHack that you were talking about with Zorti. Certainly looked impressive in places. But Kenzie, for me, is a very, very new name, and certainly not one that I was expecting this evening. So we'll have to see whether he can pull his weight, whether he can fill that gap.
Yeah, it's particularly strange because he wasn't even playing against Fun Plus Phoenix earlier on today. Earlier on today was actually Exi Power against FPX. But now Zord is put on the spot, and as he's moving back, he's forced off it. Waits for the peak, but Arky overwhelms. That's a great shot coming through and allows him space near the lockers to move past for another, where Flit will soon be faced with an AK that's just too overwhelming. So after a great start in their first gun round, but at least Jerry can get some fire in return, and Muterus will make sure that that is mitigated.
Well, big man Arky leading from the front. Certainly not what I expected to see in our first rifle round. Maybe he didn't expect to hit those shots either, to be fair, and just wanted to go in as the bait. But doing really well. Just opens the round up completely, and you can already see very, very early. Not quite sure what's happened. Zorti's gone down towards Hell, of course, and it looked like Flit, a little bit caught off by Arky pushing in. Maybe didn't get the information super fast. Maybe not paying respect. I don't know. But for me, there's a little bit of an issue. It's the first rifle round. You take it with a pinch of salt. But already Saw are in the driver's seat. They are controlling the pace. They are looking good while doing so. Lose a couple players towards the tail end here. No harm, no foul, but certainly nice for Jerry to keep his M4 in play and continue to pick up frags. There you go. On 6. Highest fragger on the server, guys. Yet to get around, of course.
Also pretty useful because he can drop an M4 while still having some money saved over. And this is the point where the round really just goes haywire. Arky gets that insane shot on the Zorte. Admittedly, a complicated angle to keep an eye out on in some ways because he knew there's a person on either side. And, obviously there's going to be some nerves going into it. You're not a stand-in for an Amiga anymore. You're actually vying for a full roster slot. And from what I understand, I think Exi Power is still technically on the bench. I assume so. He did play for them earlier today. So, even if you've been told, yeah, you're the starter, I'm sure there's some sort of a mental pressure that, hey, if I mess up, that guy's literally being paid a salary right now, and he's on the same team as me.
It certainly is a confusing one. I checked down the Twitter. FaceCrack is officially benched as far as I'm aware. I think Exi Power is in between two positions. It's a bit strange. It certainly is a bit strange. They gave the reasons that, he didn't take part in DreamHack 43, I believe, as like personal reasons. Same for FaceCrack, and then FaceCrack is officially benched, but I don't think they've put anything out that's solid for Exi Power. So yeah, it's strange. It's very, very strange. And like you say, in a lot of different ways, it's got to have a mental effect on the way you play, on the team play even, right? Just Jerry or Almazer expecting something to happen. It doesn't. It's a strange scenario to be in. Bit of an exchange, of course, over towards ramp. 1-for-1. Arky left relatively low, though, and this is, of course, a half fight around the saved weaponry from the previous round. So any kind of damage here from the CT side, they'll be happy with, but they're actually in a position where they could take control.
And Flit's in a great spot for the MP9, but unfortunately he's being fired at through the smoke. They're being so thorough about it from Saw, and he's been taken down. Not a single chance to use the close range weapon. And with this now, Forze is still committed to this retake if it even gets planted, because so far it's just kills. Saw is walking onto these bomb sites. They're letting Forza make the mistakes. And because of their superior pathing and coordination, it's just overwhelming. Where we thought that maybe Forza's CT side might be their once, shining light, Zorte can get some freedom. Their teammates can maybe have some tricky business. The only tricky business is, how do we get a kill on Zorte?
Wow. I am thoroughly impressed so far. Oh my goodness. Jerry goes down through the smoke early on. Flit does manage to find somewhat of a trade outside, but Muterius right now is doing a solid job of being that kind of gotcha player, right? You get forced out by a molly or by bullets in the previous round, for example, and he is there ready to shoot you in the back. In this round, it's in the front, but all the same, he is constantly in the kind of secondary position, as it were. Key fight for Kenzie to win. A little bit of aggression from him, some initiative being taken. Very nice indeed. Certainly HP advantage still working for Saw, but the manpower evened up. And I like this from Forza. They're trying to isolate a member of the T side. Fortunately, not really showing just yet. Ooh, going down towards the B bomb site as well. Almeza has no idea, not spotted any of this. Oh, Kenzie is just a couple seconds too late to spot it out. Roman, meanwhile, sticking around towards Squeaky, still selling the fact that it could be A, and the silent drop towards the B bomb site means they get a free bomb plant and a free setup into the post plants.
And Roman's position is everything over here. Almaza's not going to expect it, but who will find who? Roman is moving forward, but Almaza, maybe this is the needle that's been thread. Rome goes past him, and with this, Forza has reunited from ramp and can go for a retake where maybe Saw isn't expecting the manpower that will end up coming through. However, still likely going to be checking everything. Flash goes out, no further utility for it, and Sedodo's position is deadly. When Kenzie moves in, he doesn't have the HP to contest, and Zorde trades, but now it's a 2v2 with the bomb planted in favor of both these T-side players. Roman is left alone, but he sees them. He opens the door, gets the kill, and with that, the round is secured.
Well. The door play on both sides of the equation over towards Decon, used it as a distraction, does go down eventually, but all the same, gets them off the bomb. The double doors in and out, also used to get them off the bomb. Really well played, just kind of that sensory overload. The panic from Forza was clearly visible. And once again, Saw are in firm control of this T side. The economy not good into this round, just the half buy for the CTs. They're hoping to spot ahead up on the marshmallow, of course, and throw a few grenades in. We do also have an AWP in play for Zorti. See what he can get done with this. So far, nothing spectacular, but then the whole team seems to be struggling.
And you can see how much more freedom Muterus has because Zord has revealed his AWP over towards ramp. Muterus can actually move forward and get much more aggressive. However, Forze have got that read because last time they had a player lost him because of that exact same reason. So they're positioning two of their deagles outside. You don't want to take duels against those simply because they're deagles. They get headshots sometimes. But maybe this is where Flit has a chance. Jerry has a chance, rather. As a nade goes out, should be doing some damage, but actually nearly nothing, Script. And with this, suddenly, so I've got all the control. Control, utility may be low, but this is not looking easy.
Oh, Jerry. Up close and personal on the deagle. Timing going to be everything he's being watched for. And Muterius saves the life of Just. And the bomb, of course. Could have been an absolute panic. Big damage has been done. Oh, the MP9 is here pretty quickly as well. But once again, dealt with relatively quickly. Only the one frag coming in. Almeza towards Decon. He could do everything. If he gets the timing here, if Stadodo just has a lapse of concentration or whatever, then maybe he could make the difference. Orti on the AWP, trying to do what he can, losing his teammates, and not really an awful lot that Kenzie can do. No utility here, and well, with that flash coming in, Kenzie goes down. Zorti says, I would like to hold the AWP into the next if that's okay. And Saw, well, they've got other ideas. It's not okay. Just is going to chase him down, make sure that he drops, picking up the 7th round in a row.
And the worst part of it all is we're not even seeing some fancy outside take, some great coordinated execute come through from Saw. They are quite literally playing defaults and defaults alone. I can
Yeah.
tell you what the comms are right now. Don't fix what isn't broken. Just keep going for the same thing. If they manage to get around, okay, maybe then we start looking towards maybe a more complicated outside take or so. Or maybe they're not even waiting for that, because now Wall of Smokes looks to be going on outside, potentially a little bit later on as Mutters has crossed over to the red box. But even his presence here is going to be giving so much. The Molotov gives them some time, but he just runs right through it, and they're not expecting him to be here already. Jerry may have heard him though. This is where maybe it's their chance, but a flashbang takes him out. And with this, Jerry has to just try and delay. Molotov goes out, lots of utility used, and he's done a very good job of keeping them at bay for now. But maybe it's time for Arky to shine from the lurk.
Needs to get the perfect timing. But as we like to say, first time in a long time that Forza have had a solid man advantage in a round like this. Also, Mutiris down to 60 HP. Also, Flitter's pushed in. He's gathering so much information, unbeknownst to Arky. It is such a good opportunity for the CT side right now. 45 seconds left. So, what is your answer? First true test in a little while here. Great little molly comes in. Jerry gonna back off, but not too far. As soon as that goes down, he's gonna go for a move, surely. Flash comes in, still forced away from the angle. Ooh. That overlook Molotov might be the decision that costs them here. What can Jerry get done? Stododo's got to win the gunfight. Not looking at him, but lands the flick. That's absolutely massive. Down goes Kenzie towards the ramp doors as well. Zorti has managed to find one on the backside, but Stododo is not missing. His crosshair is on the head. He does eventually go down as he tries flying around the corner, but so much damage. And the fact that they've brought things back to a 2-on-2 is just incredible.
And Muris, he's got to try and recover this one, but he's been forced back. His position is known, and like you said before, Forza, this was their best chance, but Stododo's 2 kills, that might be changing everything. Flit walks in, not checking the back of the site, not needing to, in his opinion, but will just peek out. What a flashbang. Catches himself up as well. Knows that the last man is an AWPer. Knows that it's his peak to take and his deal to win. And saw it take it away. You talked about it in the pregame script. Stododo is not just known for his AWPing play, but he's got some flashy hands when he's got his hands on an AK as well. That first skill, beautiful. Second one, nowhere near possible. If you think that he's got 6 HP, Almazar had his crosshair at the right place, he just gets the headshot.
Yeah, it's great play, and it's going to be frustrating to deal with, of course, on that CT side of things. Jerry, super aggressive outside, manages to find an opener. Still give the upper hand to Saw here based on their weaponry, but it's nice to see that the confidence is not knocked. They still have the cojones, as they say, to go for some of the more aggressive plays. A slowdown here once again. I mean, 8 rounds already on the T side. We have talked about time and time again, and I'm sure you'll hear on whatever kind of CS broadcast you watch when Nuke comes up. It is indeed shifting, if not already shifted across to a bit more of a T-sided affair, but 8 rounds in a row on any side of the game is pretty damn crazy. This is now looking a bit better from Saw. They've evened up the manpower. They've tagged up a couple players, moving all together so they don't get overwhelmed by a pistol individually. Really like that idea. Almeza almost splits them up disastrously, but unfortunately to no avail. Now going to be on Zorti and Jerry, who are those low HP players, to try and, well, find a bit more damage. The round, I think, out of the question, in my opinion.
And the beauty is in the simplicity of things. Like you mentioned, just knowing to peek out together, just having your spacing down to a T. Everything so far that Saw is doing is basically if you told a computer AI what the basics of Counter-Strike are and got them to perfect those. You play together, you have perfect spacing, you've got to be able to trade off of each other. If you're going in, go in together. If you're going in, try to flash off certain angles, try to molly a particular angle, and just know what your teammate is doing. There's no big execute. There's no grand, late round rotation. They're just playing really solid fundamental Counter-Strike.
Don't need to add much more, honestly. It certainly looks that way, right? And I think there is a bit of matchup history here. They know the way that Jerry likes to lead the troops, so to speak, and I think some of those things that they've exploited in the past to be the stronger team in this matchup are now accentuated by the fact that they've got a couple players missing
Yep.
from that previous lineup. And honestly, Face Crack's certainly decent, not to take anything away from him, but filling the boots of Exapower is no easy task at all. Some of the rounds that guy was able to get away with, insane. So they will feel the hit, at least initially, right? If not in the long term, with losing a player like that. Jerry does manage to get a frag through the smoke as Saw are trying to charge towards the A-bomb site. Almost a mess. That bomb had dropped slightly closer towards the CT side. It could have been a very different affair, but they're able to recover it and at the very least get the bomb down.
But Muris' position is huge over here. Kenzie just can't move past, which means that they've got the lobby in lockdown. So Muris will always be there as a late round clutch player. And Muris is one of the best clutches in tier 2. The guy's insane. And, that's one thing you can definitely say for this whole experience. They know where their players are supposed to be, but Muris goes down, and now it's also Dodo. He's trying to fight them all from the heavens, rotates around, barely gets the kill. Rogue, meanwhile, inside the smoke, moves through, catches Ozorte, gets one, but while he moves back, the bomb's being defused, and Forze have found their first. The fact that Muris ends up going down there, that might have just been the tilting point.
Awfully close, worth noting, but yes, indeed, they get one on the board. I agree. The position of Mutius, it's a little out there, and I think he needed to go unchecked. It kind of relies on your opponent being very, very unprepared. I would imagine Crosshair was in that general vicinity. It was a close kill for sure, but it makes all the difference. If Kenzie gets completely cut out and not able to find anything, not able to apply any kind of pressure, then it makes all the difference. Can't really get into it too much, though, because once again, we're going for another fast A hit as I take a huge breath. Quick 1-for-1 coming in. The bomb plant is much faster this time around, and it seems like we've got a bit of deja vu here, T-Time.
And this time, the fast A hit comes through much more cleanly. There's much less utility from the CT side, which they can use to retake. Muris is not moving from his angle. He knows this time. I've learned my lesson, guys. I've learned my lesson, and there you go. Easy pickings for him. Zorta and Jerry, the best they can do at this point is maybe get some exit frags, but even that it just seems meaningless, honestly. This terroricide economy isn't going anywhere. You've already got the best possible weapons you can. They decide, you know what, let's just go for the save, and they might not even be able to do that. Muris has spotted out some feet, and he says he wants to have some bloody shoes on his hands. And the shoes might be bloody, but they're still walking. At least, no, never mind.
Oh,
I lied. They're not.
spoke too soon.
Someone else killed him. Oh, well.
Indeed, though, that's so funny. Mutiris sending a message, slight reposition.
Yeah.
And Kenzie knows that he's there, but not this time. Not this time. He's winning that fight. And as you saw, it's a turning point, right? Massively. So that time around, much more successful. Saw put Forza in quite possibly the worst situation they could be in right now. Not necessarily financially, but from a mental standpoint. We got one round, guys. We're finally, on the board, and immediately shut down, right? It's really, really difficult to bounce back from a situation like that, especially to the exact same call from Saw, right? But slightly more successful. It's like, oh, maybe our 1-1 round was actually a fluke. Maybe it was on them not playing as, all these kinds of thoughts run into your head. It's not an easy position to be in. Double digits already for Saw, and I can certainly see them going further than 10.
Oh, absolutely. I could see them going all the way to 14 the way they've been playing. It wouldn't be a stretch to imagine that. But now they've gone for something a little bit more fancy, an outside take. But they've peeked out. Jerry and Zorte both getting a few kills apiece, but it's still a 2 versus 3 with 45 seconds. On the bright side, they still have some utility on the CT side. 2 smokes will go a long way over here, but Kenzie can't catch out that second player as he moves past. Arky now has an opportunity to try and find something. Meanwhile, no one on the B-bomb site from the CTs, and although they will start to descend, it looks like they're content with maybe a retake. And as I say that, Kenzie makes his way over, so at least there should be a chance for him stopping a bomb plant, something around those lines, but he really needs that kill.
Well, denied away for now. Actually, a little closer than he realizes. That's quite a risky plant, honestly, from Just. Oh, big nade drops him, and now all left onto Arky. Would be a great round to pick up here for Forze. Rekindle some of that confidence moving into the final few rounds of this first half, but Arky is positioned somewhat overlooked. Almeza is aware of the fact that no one has hard checked it and will get the drop on him as well. I think crouching there perhaps shows, you know, that right-hand side of his body, or the left-hand side of his body, I suppose, on Arky's position. And therefore, Almeza is able to get a bit of pre-fire, pre-aim into position. And Forza will pick up their second, surviving with the bare minimum of 3. Okay, here we go, cooking with some gas. But Saw maybe once again have an answer for this.
And that 2K from Zorde, though, on the outside area, that's incredibly important. The fact that he's able to get the second one before he's refragged shows just this rare sign of a few weaknesses in Saw's spacing. They're clearly not expecting Jerry to peek out there, and in their head, the player to refrag the second death from, the first death from Zorde was not the one behind Red. It was the one who already potentially went down to Jerry. So, you know, some issues coming through, but even so, I wouldn't really count Forza into the green zone yet. Question is, do they start hitting their shots now? Flit sees a player going down into second vents, and Ken sees aggressive, sees one, gets one, can't make it two. The flick isn't good enough, and neither is the spray transfer. While Zorde peeks forward, he'll miss his shot, and he's forced back.
Arky in behind enemy lines, though. They are so apprehensive. They'll let the bomb go down. Play this 4v4 smart rather than reactive. First frag comes in. Stododo going to drop. That's a big name to be taking down so early on. I think a couple players, yeah, indeed, spotting each other out towards the ramp. Arky the next to fall. Mutiris looking to get aggressive. Played it in around the door. And his teammate goes down in the meantime. It's a nice little frag in isolation. But Almeza coming through with the 4K. Allowing Forza to get their third. This is where things get a little more interesting. If they can make it back to 5, honestly, they do have, in the past, again, right, a decent T side on Nuke. But it's a question of how much work they'll have to do.
It's also a question of who's going to be doing the work exactly, because I mean, I know Jerry said that Kenzie wants to take the positions of FaceCrack, and FaceCrack individually maybe not the best player. You know what FaceCrack was one of the best players at? Just running on into a particular direction, clearing out every single angle for Jerry and Flit to come through. Oh my, I like that. I like that run boost. Zorde moves past, doesn't really find anyone initially, but just shows that little extra thing. You know, just a bit of extra movement to try and get yourself an advantage. Unfortunately for him, doesn't quite deliver right now, but always nice to see.
Slowed right back down after that, though. Little anticlimactic. Maybe we get to see it in future, though, boys. Come on, man. Give me some of that. I love a good run boost as well.
Yeah. Especially when you don't have to stop for one. Like, you can just do it while you're running. That's the coolest thing ever. But so is the fact that Just has gone by unnoticed. Very cool, Just, but can you do it again before Zorde picks you off? No, you can't. Back to a 4-on-4 advantage taken away, but at the same time, CT side, they've got themselves 2 Molotovs, and that's all she wrote as far as utility goes. So firepower has to come into play, and Almazar, his firepower delivered them around in the previous one. This time, it's Stododo who triumphs.
Not a big fan of that off angle, but we'll see whether the rest of the bullies can pick things up. Flit looking to get aggressive through the smoke. What a play. Oh my goodness, the timing is absolutely perfect. Mutiris now the only one left. Does manage to drop 2 very, very quickly. Flash comes in. The spray somehow keeps Flit at bay, but he eventually corrects. And he will get his 3K. He will get his rewards. And he will, of course, get the 4th round for Forza. My goodness, it does come close once again. But all the same, they are pulling things back, softening the blow, as I often say, right? It's still going to hurt. It's still going to be difficult moving into half number 2. But each round makes it easier and easier, of course. So, and that confidence, that mental game that we talk about, particularly with a newer iteration of the lineup, is so important to get rolling.
And it's particularly important over here to keep in mind that that previous round puts Saul in a very poor financial situation. Their utility is very limited. Stododo, instead of on the AK, he's on a Tech 9, a decision I don't personally like. Would have loved to see him having a rifle after what he's been doing all game long. But hey, I know he's got a great pistol as well, so we'll have to wait to see what can actually be accomplished. The issue is Forza can't entirely capitalize on their superior utility when they use as much of it early on as they have so far. Saw have demonstrated that they're perfectly comfortable with slowing things down, but at the very least, Flit does have full control of outside, and he can play a lot more proactively on the A-bomb side if the time comes to it because of that outside control. Though actually, that might be a lie. Mutrus has now, later into the round, snuck past and gotten himself into the cubby.
He's been doing a really great job at this all half long. The past few rounds, it doesn't feel so impactful, but to get them their initial jump start of that 5 or 6 rounds, he was just in behind so very often. Gets clapped this time around, though, of course, which is certainly, going to put a dent in there, dude. The big nade comes through. It does a fair amount of damage alongside the tag, alongside another kill. Means that things are looking very, very good here in round number 15 for Forza. And Saw will have to do what they can, make the best of a bad situation. Smoke going to dissipate. The Tech 9 doesn't get there fast enough. And now Roman is the only one left, and he is taken down from above. A very clean final round of the half. Forza looking good. Things are really shaping up well here. Can they continue it into the second half? That's the big question. Join us after the break. Well, half one was the Saw show to begin with, until it wasn't. Forza pulling things back towards the end, kind of against all odds. It seemed to just turn completely on its head. Very, very unexpected, but it may well just give them the rounds that they need moving into the second half. Of course, joined by Tea Time here. What are you feeling is going to happen in this second half? Because I don't know, like these two new additions, for me, it kind of puts a lot of that previous kind of theory crafting that we might have up in the air.
Well, I mean, over here, what's really interesting to keep in mind is the fact that, Saul, I kept talking them up in the first half that, oh, hey, they've got these great defaults and everything, and they're just playing everything right. The issue is that they were playing everything right because Forze also wasn't hitting their shots. That second level of, deeper structure and smokes and executes wasn't really there. So I'm actually a little bit worried about this CT side as well going into it. But Forza still have to show me whether Kenzie can replace Face Crack in what he was able to do for this team. Zorde hasn't had the best of games so far, and it does still seem like he's got more to offer. Maybe the T side is where he can get some work done, even if it isn't particularly op favored. But at the same time, now Sudodo is eventually going to end up with an op in his hands as well. CTs definitely have the buffer round to be able to lose a little bit here or there, but this pistol is everything potentially. Sudodo takes the initial duel, doesn't quite win it out, but Arky's got himself two in the meanwhile.
Oh, he's got the support in as well. Stododo does get taken down, but it's all creating space for Arky as he will find himself a 3K. Who plays at that back box, is what Forza is saying. Why is he there? It's such a bad position. Get trapped in. Well, not if you can hit your shots, of course. He's looking for the ace here, actually, holding towards hell. Very, very tight angle, sir, but all the same. Information is in, at the very least, one player spotted over there. Of course, the bomb down at the feet of the CTs. So the new boys, Kenzie and Zorti, are going to have to try and pull back this 4-on-2. Easier said than done. There is the raid boss P250. Maybe Zorti can pull off something incredible, but as more and more members start to join, it's going to get harder. Nice initial frag coming in from Kenzie. Zorti, though, going for the repeat, able to find one. Doesn't take too much damage off of that exchange. They do have to be careful here. It's a decent area to try and isolate the jewels. They know it. And with only 15 seconds or thereabouts left, they are happy to let him have the bomb. He has to sprint towards that A bomb site. And well, there is, of course, already Roman lying in wait. Fake coming in. And I think that'll do it. They just have to play the time now. Roman will go down, but it's all good. Mutiris hiding away in the vents. And that will do it. Zorti wants his third frag of the round. Not going to happen for him, though. And Saw come away with the pistol.
Would have honestly loved to see him just get the bomb plant afterwards. It puts you in a better position financially, considering you're not going to have the loss bonus going into the next round. So at least if your team is planning to force buy with the Kevlar that you already have, you can, maybe buy a little bit of extra utility, maybe get, a Tech 9 plus some more with that. But instead, Zorde is perfectly fine with things as they go forward. Doesn't give him too much of a disparity, so I suppose it's not the biggest of deals, but at the end of the day, now Soul has an opportunity to start building up some cash on their CT side, and we already know what can happen if Soul start to snowball at the beginning of a half.
I think another point for me as well on the CT side of things is just the fact that, pound for pound, I feel their individuals, at the very least in terms of form, right, are performing better, and I think that's going to put up a solid brick wall to get through. Not having that initial cash injection, playing on the back foot once again, I think it's just going to make things even harder. Mutiris through the smoke, salt in the wound after that pistol round will take down Jerry. What can you do about it? What can you do? You can try and return fire, but I think there is a little bit of timidity, it seems, amongst some of these players, right? They don't necessarily want to join or take the wide swings to help their teammates out, because they're not fully comfortable with each other. That unspoken coordination that gets mentioned from time to time just doesn't seem to be here completely, right? At the very least, in the same way that it is for Saw on their T side and playing those solid fundamentals. They can get the bomb down here, though. I think they can be happy with that. Still, that's looking tough. Stododo's in with the MP9, able to drop one, needs to get the reload off. Salty takes him down. Arky's got to be careful as well. Okay, it's still 3-on-2. But that opportunity at the bomb plant, is it there? No, I don't think so. And just will come through from the backside with the MP9. Relatively easy cleanup.
Really important that they deny the bomb plant over there as well. But, like you said, the opportunity for the MP9 kills was what they were looking for. They end up losing a few players extra because of it, potentially. But just Mutiris on the Famas and outside, finding these few kills makes it so much easier for that to be a cleanup round rather than anything else. And on top of everything, you still have 2 MP9s. And you still have 5 unarmored opponents. This is pretty much as good as it gets if you're the CT side. Money can be built up at this stage with those two weapons. You can keep your armors alive. You can play a little bit more defensively, take some long range duels. But the problem is, do they realize that there are deagles across the board for Forza? That's not a decision that a lot of teams are going for these days. So, should be interesting to see if some heads are taken off in surprise.
Flash goes in, a little bit of information gained. Oh, they're peeking out. There's a good little setup here, though, of course. Muteris, that second line of defense. Roman up close, mowing through the unarmored opponents. Arky getting involved in the action. There it is, though. One does go down, but okay, I was going to say, I think that might be all. Flit, however, has found the head of another. Suddenly it looks like a relatively decent round. Imagine he thought he'd hit that. That would have been the damage, but unfortunately, nothing really coming. A little bit of kill bonus, being annoying, keeping the economy modest, etc., etc. You know the deal by now. This is where really Forza have got to get around on the board. Otherwise, map one is probably over. Maybe not immediately, but bar something incredible, I don't think they'll be able to come back from a lost first rifle round in this second half.
Forza already might need something incredible to come back in the second half. And maybe that can be one of these players. Almazr is now moving forward, playing a little bit more defensively than maybe you'd see FaceCrack playing this position, but he does find the kill nonetheless. And that's where things get a lot better. You've got that big outside control factor gone, but Rome's is still keeping Mini underneath CT hands. Stadodo comes in from the sidelines. Kenzie won't be taking that duel until he's moving fast, and that gives Flit a lot more time to work his magic. Well, Rome has been caught out, but that nade is going to be big. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be bold, and that's enough to take down one more. But Flit will be traded as Arky gets the flank.
Oh, no. Bomb as well, going to slow them down. Stadodo just needs to stay alive, but gonna reposition and just swing out. Oh goodness, the double dink. Oh yo. I mean, okay, it works. It's not necessarily, if you're watching this game to learn the optimal way to play CS, that's perhaps not the best way to do things in a 2-on-1 when you know where the bomb is, but all the same, it works out. He was 13-5 ahead. He's feeling confident, and now he's 14-5 ahead. So what do I know? But either way, moving into round number 20, they do indeed have the money to get rifles, but limited utility, also taking an early nade to the chin. No AWP out for Zorti, not necessarily, like you said, seen all that much on the T side of Nuke, but maybe it would be something that could quell his nerves somewhat, but he's not had the opportunity as yet. They are fighting desperately here, tooth and nail, to try and get something before Storm reach that ever dangerous 15-round mark. And there you go. A nice slip in behind the defenses will give them an early opener.
Very important kill from Jerry to find there. It forces Saw to reposition so much more than what we saw from the Muterus kill that they had opening earlier. All opening kills are not equal, and that's for sure. The map control that the CTs are forced to give up is completely different, and as they push forward and isolate themselves, Almazr takes the opportunity to find one, and although he's traded, Zord is right around the corner to do the same. Now a 4-on-2.
Or just... that's kind of the point of no return. Are they going to go for it? Or is it a save? I think they are kind of edging towards, but he's just sort of looking for a few exits. That's a swift one. But then, of course, overlooks the angle next to him. That's an unfortunate one. So Muteris, I guess, probably... oh, I don't know. I feel like it was better for Just to save as well. They could have put together a buy between Muteris's cash, really. But now not as easy. I don't think they'd really go for it. Maybe a half buy, but all the same, Forza, there it is. Like I say, keeping them away from 15 is very, very important. Getting their first round of the second half, better late than never, but there is still a lot of work to do. We are hedging our bets, as they say, holding our tongue ever so slightly before we start to believe in the comeback train. This is kind of a case of best of 3, build up a bit of momentum, bit of confidence going into your own map pick of Dosu, which is certainly a momentum-based pick.
It's also very surprising that Forze is having such a rough time when against FunPlus Phoenix earlier on today, they were able to get to, 16-14, which realistically could have just been anyone's game, and I would argue that FPX is a maybe a little bit more firepower heavy at the very least than Saw. It's just international teams generally are. But what I'm finding really surprising is the inconsistency in numbers that Forze is putting up against them and over here. Now, I want to see more from Jerry, from Zorde, from Flit, but we're going to have to wait to see if they can continue to deliver. They have shown us some signs of being able to work around, but now Sedodo's got this opportunity to come in from the side if Zorte goes down. This time, there's no one to come through and refrag, and the CTs have a solid advantage. But Jerry, well, he might be liquidating that advantage a little bit quicker than they expected.
Yeah, the Danger Man. Ooh, that timing's a little bit awkward, but he didn't actually get spotted. So, getting away with a cheeky one. Just meanwhile, aggressive. Can see. Oh, you see him with the bomb on his back. It's a confident peek. It does pay off. But all the same, Mutiris, meanwhile, going to find Jerry on the bottom side of the map. And I would imagine look to save the AK. So here we go. Forza's showing signs of life. But it is still, like I say, quite far behind. Not to keep hammering that home, but you just kind of have to be realistic at this point. They are starting to get a solid foot in the door, though. Economy's going to be wrecked for Saw. Meanwhile, their economy, especially if they keep the 3 alive, which they will after Almaze's frag here, means that their economy is actually getting to a very nice spot to talk about the money, to keep that rolling, as it is ever important. This certainly was a nice kill, but yeah, Jerry completely catching Stododo off guard. That was not respected, not known, not heard, etc., and definitely the turning point of the round for me.
It is also particularly interesting to actually see that both the rounds that Forze have got so far are because Jerry's able to get into a position where he just isn't expected and they haven't been able to see him. So Saw is, they're leaking in certain areas, and Jerry is saying, I am like water, my friend. I'm really annoying when I'm leaking. And that's for sure. He is being a pain in the side for Saw. Both rounds that they've gotten have come off the back of Jerry being able to find either entries or refrags that he realistically should have had. They had no idea he had gone down vents. They had Arky had no idea then afterwards that he was already watching ramp. The guy is being incredibly mobile, and that comes from the decisiveness of being in IGL, which is one of the reasons why fragging in-game leaders can sometimes be so incredibly good at rotating from place to place so quickly in comparison to regular players. It's just, I was not expecting him to have the ability to do this in a position where, you've lost some of your players who've been around with you for this long, but it's great to see him pulling it off nonetheless.
Yeah, I think he's definitely picking up some of the mantle on this T side, kind of a Blame F-esque leading from the front, but also just kind of doing some things on his own, giving the team some basic directions and then doing what he wants kind of thing, right?
Yep.
And finding a great deal of success with it, which can be very dangerous. Yeah, like you say, he's up there. He's the highest fragger. Second highest fragger on the server, but the highest fragger on his team. It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that there's so many rounds down, and yet there's not really that much of a discrepancy between the kills across the two teams. But all the same, he's looking good. And maybe if this is something with a very, very basic, strat book on Dust 2, just objectively, it doesn't really matter what you are or how you play as a team, maybe this is something you can carry into map 2.
Well, map 2 is still a ways away, as is the journey of Forza on this one. One good thing they've got going for them, of course, is good old CT money, Scrove. So 14-9 should be in the cards, but unfortunately sometimes you're dealt a joker, and it turns out that the joke is on you. Question is, can Saw be the comedian? They've got some deagles, they've got some CZs, they can make it work maybe, but Arky's missed his first shot, 3 peeks outwards, doesn't get the tag, and that makes it a lot trickier, especially when Roman goes down.
Oof. And Just. And
Okay.
Arky.
All right.
Yeah. All right. We
Flit's
see
not
you,
a funny
Flit.
man.
We see you. Here we go. Yeah, the crowd's loving him tonight. Mutiris, though, is looking to, I suppose, be that annoying heckler that comedians always have to deal with. To really take this analogy all the way. Zorti going to drop him, though. That's a nice round from Flip. That's a very, very nice round from Flip. Great smoke. I want to point out in a round like this where you are indeed predicting a bit of a half buy, their economy's maybe not there. There's possibly a scout in play, right? Let's play things safe. They get that smoke on the locker room and it really hinders the scout, right? It's quite a safe angle that he can play from there, and one of those nasty put your crosshair in the right place, and if you hold your A key a little bit too long, your D key a little bit too long, then perhaps you are going to get taken down. So smoking that off early is really well played from Forza. Just a little thing, but certainly something to bear in mind.
Arkia is opping. And I know they
Huh.
do this sometimes, but I was
Yeah.
expecting Sodota with the form that he's in to want to op personally. But it's still interesting to see. Now, normally he is the secondary anyhow, but let's see what exactly he can get done from that angle. Sodota, meanwhile, where is he playing from? Same position, from next to locker, from on top of lockers, rather, next to heaven. And he is just waiting, but wants to be at as many places at a time as possible. I'm guessing that's why he's gone for the AUG. Still slightly strange, but we'll have to wait to see how things transpire as Almaza is creeping in.
Yeah, it feels sometimes map-based, sometimes form-based, but like you say, that's not really a problem with current form and map form, as it were. Flick going to catch off Mutiris, though. A curious choice on the AWP placement, but at the moment, it's not having too much of an effect. Flit and Zorti both tagged up, but it is still, of course, a man advantage of, well, this A burst is seconds away. Got to be careful not to get caught reloading, Roman. Yeah, indeed, that's going to be the burst forwards. Almeza with the two clean openers just takes him down from above, but Zorti making sure to trade. The Forza T side is looking good. Arky goes for a mad flick, doesn't quite land it, and now the hunt is on. They are after him, and there's 4 players coming. He's not ready for the one behind him. Oh no, Forza are actually looking really, really dominant here on the T side. It's certainly something that, of course, you and I, working at this level for a while, have seen vast amounts of complacency when it gets to this kind of a scoreline. But I think teams like this, who are up towards the higher end of that tier 2 kind of level, will take these advantages, will take the inch and turn it into a mile. So Saw need to be careful, at the very least secure your overtime.
Especially because now that Jerry isn't just entirely alone, Flit is also fragging in. You suddenly got a lot more firepower on the Forza side, which was a big issue for their first half. 14-11 is in the cards, and dude, 14-11 that's just another day in the park. That's very doable. That's a day-to-day scoreline. For Force to come to that after being down 10-1 and then soon after being down 13-5, this is unreal from them. The mental fortitude that you need is unreal. And maybe just maybe a little bit of that is saying, hey guys, no pressure. We're all new here anyway. We're not expecting this to be an easy victory, but look at how they're making it work. You talked about it before, Scriv. Dust 2, maybe some possibility for the loose style to be paying dividend. Nuke, if you win this one, our comfortable 2-0 prediction for Saw becomes a whole lot less comfortable.
Yeah, and the interesting thing as well is against a team like Saw, the way that they approach their T side so very basically, I think that you can kind of employ the same kind of style and perhaps catch them off guard with it, right? Because they don't know, something super deep. That's a little awkward for Just. A few too many targets. That was a great little flash, though. And he almost, I think the opportunity was there to find both. Whether he wins the round, that third player was on the way from Mini, but all the same. Again, nice little tidbit, nice bit of damage towards the end. Not that it really matters. I think Forza will be happy to have to rebuy, to be honest, and not let their money cap out. And now a timeout coming in. Saw are like, okay, things are getting a little worrying, guys. Let's take a minute. Let's just work this one out, because it's not quite as clear-cut as it looked. They've got 2 stand-in-y type players, lol. You know, this should be easy. Yeah. We've picked up 10 rounds in a row, or whatever it was, 9 rounds in a row. And I think now they're realizing maybe their overconfidence is getting the better of them. Pride cometh before the fall, folks. Never forget.
And I wouldn't even say it's necessarily overconfident. It's just the sudden drop in impact some of these players are having. Muris is a player who they heavily rely on to continually have outside control. So far, it seems like he's losing more duels than winning on outside. And when he goes down, Sudodo is playing from such a defensive position without an AWP that he can't actually come in and effectively take control of that area again. So you're just getting squeezed in from one death onto Arky or Muris. Either way they want to go. But now Stododo has the AWP. Now things are different. And the question is the outcome also going to be different? Or is this recipe just rephrased, paraphrased, and you're still ending with the same old chicken dinner? That gets you a little bit going. Stododo finds one though, and that is a tasty little morsel.
Arky doesn't find anything, but it's a nice spot you can drop back from, as we are seeing. Ooh, does have to be careful. They're very quickly after him and not afraid to come through this smoke, apparently. He does have a bit of assistance in the form of Mutiris now. Kenzie, meanwhile, will catch him off guard. Almeza has to find this trade, but it's Jerry, in fact. Almeza honestly plays the part. He makes that happen by making sure to just keep the attention. And of course, it is a feign of an attack. Now onto the 3-on-3 retake. All to play for here. Forza really have to keep this train a rolling. This is the key round. It feels like the difference between a possible pullback and maybe the game going the way that it felt like it would all those rounds ago. Almeza the only one left. He kind of fluffs that one up a little bit. It's all going to be down to Just on the other side of things. He has tapped the bomb, but Almeza playing so very well, so very patiently, will swing out. Surely, though, he's bought enough time. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, he has indeed. And they will stay alive another round longer, up to 12. Forza are kind of doing it here, tea time. It looks like it.
And Almazar has had so many high impact rounds. Even in this one, he only gets a kill. And this is why you just can't trust the KDA, because he may be 19-19, but not only did he win a 1v2, you talked about how he sells a fake to allow their early kill onto the lower bomb side as well, which is the equalizer. These things matter oh so very much. And now you have to start to wonder, how is this going to be going? I even have to commend Zorte. Zorte actually, very heads up play from him in that previous round, where once the bomb is down, he's not playing directly inside dark. He's playing just outside it, so he avoids the Molotov as well as finding a kill onto Stododo, which could have been the big difference maker. And it's just those little things where it can be everything, and this might be one of those. Zorte again takes down Stododo, who was getting aggressive this time. So are running out of options, and you can tell that they are feeling it.
Yeah, it's really worrying stuff, isn't it? Breakdown in the play here. Roman going to be forced out of his corner, and well, thankful that he saw the Molotov coming, being on such low HP. Key frag here. It's Kenzie to take the head clean off of Arky. I think just the advantage of the angle, the right eye peak, as they say. All the same, though, 5-on-3, Just is in prime position to maybe turn things on its head. But my goodness, what is going on? It's Roman, in fact. He only gets 2. Is it enough? I don't think so. 3-on-1, but yeah, cannot get past that Almeza Ferrari peak. Mutiris may be the hero of the round.
Well, maybe it's a good word to use over here, because he's got a big task, gets 1, and that's all. Immediately forced back, and again, you go back to the question of where is that area of the map that just seems off limits to Forza? Because on the CT side of Nuke, you really need that one guy who can at least lock down one part. Normally for Saw, it's Muterus on outside. Sometimes it's Arky on ramp. Sometimes it's Stododo wants to rotate over with the AWP. He can fulfill the same purpose on either one of those areas. But so far, it seems like they just can't keep a handle on things. Their utility necessarily isn't always in the right place. It's not necessarily always ready. And when it is, it's generally used before a retake. So a retake comes down to a 2v2, a 3v3, and they don't have anything to flush out the terrorist properly. And now just starts off nicely, but it's still a very unfavorable buy for the Portuguese side.
Kenzie sneaking down. Might actually be needed. Oh, not like this. Not like this. 4-on-2, Flit moving in slowly. Check your angles, please. Will manage to find first onto Roman. Nobody else really showing. Actually going to get the bomb plant because just had gone for the push around. Never mind, spoke too soon. Stododo went flying through the Molotov. Kenzie, the only one left. 1-on-3 gets taken down. Oh, I don't believe it, tea time. I don't believe it. That is where you drop the round. Why? Why? Oh my goodness, they're going to be absolutely kicking themselves against the Pistols. I suppose the change up in, pace and positioning and whatnot from Saw can indeed catch you off, but to fully lose the round is a pain and kind of disappointing. Still potential to win 2 more and take us to overtime, but I think that's a real kick in the teeth.
I mean, can you justify it as a caster? Absolutely. But the question is, can you justify it if it's just happened to you as a player? Their mental is already disturbed. They had one of the longest series they'll probably ever play up against Fun Plus Phoenix earlier today with like an octa overtime or something ridiculous like that. You're not in a good place just as far as your stamina goes as it is right now. So we'll have to wait to see how exactly things go. Now, Roman, he is to be boosting up his teammate just to get a slightly more defensive position in the rafters, but Forze are setting up for a full late round outside take. Or is this just a fake?
Hard to tell. It does look like they're going to try and act around it. Oh, the crack in the smoke as well, Jerry. I think he just had to commit. These smokes are not perfect at all. That org is really running rampant right now. 1 frag so far, almost 2 more. But it is somewhat of a fake. Because they are going to try and give the A-bomb site a go with the man disadvantage. 25 seconds thereabouts to get the bomb down at the very least. This is a panicked attempt. This is going to be messy.
And everything might come back to the same boost we saw earlier where Just was boosted up. Roman repositions himself, sees where they are, but Just has been scouted out in the meanwhile. Now Roman has to do everything, has 2 kills, but Kenzie's left alone where Muris takes away Zorda's life, and without time, Kenzie can't get it done. Saw at the end drag it across the finish line, and they'll find themselves the first map, and we'll find ourselves going to a short break.